more successful, given that obviously him and his team made the Quake World Championships with Sacrifice, so he's at least played on the world stage. BrejK, we haven't seen as much of yet in Quake Champions. So this is an opportunity for both players to break through that and manage to do well in...
No pun intended again.
No, it's not on purpose. It's not deliberate.
I feel like
Let
it's
it die.
unavoidable.
Let me say
at
words.
This stage.
It's not my fault he chose to call himself BrejK. BrejK is a crucial word in my vocabulary, but already a fight breaking out and BrejK.
I'm so sorry.
Can you stop?
I couldn't ignore that one.
But fight starting, fight finished. First blood goes to Garpy.
That was a quick turn. That was a 15-second frag.
I mean, that was indeed. Like, and that's not the last thing I expected to say, because one thing we haven't said about Garpy yet is Garpy is really happy to run that clock, right, and get it down to the 5 minute. But this is a lot of aggression we're seeing out of Garpy already.
Oh, just to sort of remind some of you guys, like, oh, lovely rail. Can't quite get the second one, but he gets
two
another.
from the hip. He hits 2 back to back. Still, though, BrejK does have a lot of armor and stacking up immediately again.
Quite an explosive first minute of a round.
Indeed, already we see Garpy with that advantage, and it was BrejK's Anarchy that lost as well, so it's going to be that, I suppose, crucial starting point. You know, I think we definitely see, it's a weird lineup for that, right? We see all 3 champions started with at different points, depending on the players, depending on the maps, but usually, at least early on competitively in Quake Champions, it was, if you have Anarchy on your team, you put Anarchy first. You know, you try stacking up those injections to get that health, to really sort of, I suppose, start that snowball effect. But now with the rise of this lineup, we see a lot of Sorlag at the start. And even then, we've seen a lot of Nicks at the start before. So I really think it's hard to predict what champion is actually going to be coming out first. Oh, but another nice rail. Garpy is really landing good. He's not even scoping for them as well.
But here comes that rocket boost to try and potentially beat him to the heavy. And he's actually been able to do a fantastic job of being able to not only meet him at the heavy, but just get a second frag under his belt.
Garpy is just playing really crisp so far. A lot of health already stacking himself up, but it was all the rails. It's a lot of rail damage. Again, he's not even scoping as well. He's got that confidence to hit those shots from the hip, and he's consistently getting them.
Actually, gotta say, I love the fact that Garpy wasn't even interested in trying to get a frag there. Like, he was going fast enough and knew that fresh off the spawn, BrejK was unlikely to have the weapons he needed to score an early frag. I mean, he was shooting out with a machine gun, right? I mean, why did you have to really worry about that? As long as he takes the mega and then establishes distance, BrejK will remain behind. He doesn't even need to be dead at the time, just as long as he's behind. That's all Garpy wanted. See now, just the divide between health and armor.
Well, you think it, right?
It's huge.
If your opponent is constantly having to top themselves up with health and armor, it means they're not cycling weapons, they're not controlling pickups the same way, they're not controlling the map the same way.
Oh,
we're going to go into this. So he tries to. He doesn't have Ghost Walk. This could be a huge mistake if he doesn't get this frag right now. It's going to be hard for him to get away, but no, Garpy misses one rail. And it lets BrejK get away to the heavy armor. That was a crucial miss for Garpy, unfortunately.
BrejK did a ton of damage too. Like a significant amount.
Also getting out the acid spit from Garpy too. So Garpy kind of low on resources for now in terms of fighting, but does still have that natural health advantage.
And every single weapon locked and loaded on the right-hand side.
Still though, the time is now starting to tick away, even though we had a very aggressive and, I suppose, fast-paced beginning to the round. Garpy now sitting at that 3 minutes 20, 1 minute 40 away from ending the round on a timeout. If we do go to overtime, Garpy is going to win on that champion advantage.
Dedicates everything to the Ghost Walk. I'm not sure about that one. I mean, that was all or nothing. I mean, I think he thought, well, if I reappear here and I surprise him and I get a bunch of damage before he even starts shooting at me, then maybe I can score this frag, and then maybe a comeback can begin. But the problem with that, it's very much, you know, you've put all your eggs in one basket. If that Ghost Walk does not secure a frag, you've just lost any ounce of escape, and Sorlag had spit ready.
I mean, to be honest, if you're going to make that kind of really brave play to just, you know, use the Ghost Walk effectively versus someone like Sorlag that you know is going to have the health lead or the armor lead, and you just want to surprise them and get that frag. If you do it early in the set, literally like the first round, I mean, this is going to be a first to 2 maps. It's 3 out of 5 rounds per map. So BrejK really has quite a lot of room for error here. So if he's going to make that kind of you know, big play, best to do it now where he hasn't really got he's got the most sort of wiggle room for those kind of errors.
Maybe just sort of, you know, just feel the waters and just kind of see
how Garpy reacts to it.
How well will a play like that help you out?
But clearly Garpy is ready for that kind of thing, because Garpy, you know, without hesitation, just turn around, LG, boom, BrejK was dead.
He's not afraid to play the patient game, is Garpy. If there are some players that are prone to being more than happy winning by timeout, Garpy's one of those players for sure.
But, you know, early on we thought it was kind of as long as he was on Anarchy, because Anarchy has that movement to really get away and keep that distance between. But Garpy really starting to adopt that style with Sorlag as well now. Garpy really has been working on that patience across the board, and it's starting to pay off. All misses one rail. This is going to be that Sorlag versus Sorlag face-off right off the start, so BrejK isn't going to be starting with Anarchy this time.
Oh, a couple of rails failing to connect, but Garpy's taken one too many. That even sticking around for that rail was risky, because that was like a ½ millimeter away from connecting to his hitbox, and that would have been a dead Sorlag at 75 HP.
BrejK is still around though. Looks like BrejK trying to sort of zone him away from that mega health. Doesn't want Garpy to go pick it up. Now back to this more, I suppose, traditional patient style. BrejK being patient too now. That's the mega health. Heavy arm going to be up in a few seconds. Doesn't seem that anyone's quite near it yet. You can see BrejK hesitating before committing to it, but...
Well, there's quite a bit of patience from both players here, actually. No one's really sort of piling into one pickup at once. They're really sort of just sitting pretty. Speaking of which, though, Garpy gets completely ambushed. Looking towards his right when BrejK was at his left. Oh, dear. That's a lot of LG coming through. BrejK with that first frag, and now the question is, how does he capitalize on this? How does he continue the snowball in this situation?
Well, unfortunately, both players missed the acid, and none of it really quite connected the way you need to, but Garpy has the LG to commit to the fight. Oh, wow! Doesn't get the chance to. He just gets taken down immediately by a rocket from BrejK, and BrejK with a 2-champion lead already. And the full armor. Only a machine gun on the side of Garpy. Oh, track with that rail. Actually, he's chasing this.
I mean, I'm not surprised. He's got such an advantage here.
Heavy armor. They're fighting for it again. Looks like Garpy. Oh, that's a lot of damage from a single rocket.
Using the Ghost Walk, I mean, actually kind of almost like a mirror of what we saw in the last round. But in this case, he has done a good job of keeping BrejK at arm's reach. He's been able to sort of deny the heavy, but he's still got to be careful. He can't really tank much with that health.
Still, though, he has picked up a couple of the individual ones, the small health, and now has seemingly put himself back up to full again. Oh, big damage. Oh, didn't quite get the frag. Oh, misses the rail. Oh, and Garpy with a machine gun from across the map. He's going to be able to take that frag down now. BrejK losing that soul lag could be huge. Garpy is still stacked on that health and looking to bring that armor back up too.
I mean, at that health, I mean, at that ammo, I should say, it didn't really matter that he was out of rails. All he did was a couple of shots of the machine gun, and he was more than happy to take that.
Oh, missed that rail. Oh, they're sort of looking to trade the rails, but both of them missing the mark.
I think as long as they're both missing, neither player's going to be too upset. I don't think it's when you miss a rail and they've just hit you. I mean, that's a situation that you could have avoided if you just landed the rail. It's kind of hard to deal with sometimes.
It can be easier said than done versus some of these smaller targets.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, with that aggressive ghost walk. BrejK was kind of ready for it, but there's that complete behind ambush. Does Garpy follow with the rockets?
He's got the heavy armor.
1 minute warning.
He doesn't follow through.
Oh, wonderful shot and BrejK. Specks of life left to work with. But has to be careful not to run into these rockets. He's going for the chase. BrejK knows it. Ooh, this is that quick rail. Unfortunate miss, and that 1 minute warning still ticking down. BrejK has the time on his side for now. Nice rocket in the air, preemptively shot from BrejK, but the mega health is going to top Garpy up.
I mean, that rocket was more than nice. And even before then, the wall jump to avoid and to stay like unpredictable to line up that shot was really well placed by Garpy. It's just unfortunately either the wall jump wasn't really able to accomplish much. That could have been a fantastic frag, but couldn't quite land though. Just the hits he needed.
20 seconds left to go. BrejK just needs to run away at this point. You think he's going to play for the clock,
but I think
there's that ghost walk. It's all or nothing now. Garpy's chasing it.
I mean, he has to run straight into the belly of the beast with those rockets. Pops the injection. Can he survive long enough? Oh, they trade back and forth. I mean, that could have been a saving grace once the injection was popped and Anarchy was kind of stuck in that animation, but Garpy couldn't quite finish it in time. And they just traded it 1 for 1, which is going to be in BrejK's favor.
Close, but no cigar, unfortunately. Even though he was able to get the frag, trading out because BrejK had that champion lead, was able to win the round anyway. And back to the Sorlag versus Sorlag start, which looked a lot better for BrejK in the long run compared to that first round, which was so, I suppose, one-sided earlier on. Hang on though, this could be an immediate fight. A lot of acid coming through, but BrejK finds himself very low, picking up a little bit of armor, and still goes down. Garpy tracking too strong on that LG.
That just came down to rockets missing and not enough damage on that spit. He just wasn't able to sort of compete with what Garpy was outputting right there. We have seen that even if you are taking a ton of damage in a small space of time, well-placed rockets can easily turn the tide of a fight that's going bad. I mean, we saw Avec do the same thing previously.
So much damage. Just so much damage on that rocket. And the fact that it can, blow you around and, you know, I suppose reposition you where you don't really want to necessarily be. And that was a wonderful shot from the hip as well, Garpy. Having some of that round 1 accuracy back so far.
I mean, with no armor left to go, BrejK's got to be so careful. He gets hit by a single rail, and that's going to be curtains for his Anarchy. Actually, like the fact that Garpy is using this as an opportunity to almost starve BrejK of armor pickups.
Well, Garpy's just controlling the map in a very interesting way so far. That's a big part of maintaining that lead. Even though you might be, you know, even though Garpy is already up on champions, like if he can control these pickups and deny BrejK the weapons when he needs them,
That's going to be a missed rail. He's going to use that downtime to his advantage.
Speaking of downtime, we find ourselves at the bottom here. BrejK is going to try and get away. Has an injection, but only just used it. So he did use it in the end. Oh, missed the mid-air. Oh, but didn't miss the follow-up.
All he needed. I mean, like, he'd used the injection to survive temporarily, but the injection until he gets to about maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes in on like a sacrifice map, yeah, you're going to probably go over 80 HP, but not on a duel. It's so unlikely that you're going to be healthy enough.
With him, right? If you don't start with Anarchy and you have to start building up that health when you're already, I suppose, effectively down a champion, it's even more difficult to do that.
The railgun doesn't care that you've popped injection. The railgun kills you anyway.
Indeed. The railgun is merciless. Takes no prisoners. Still, though, this is a much better start for Garpy this time. Oh, rail. Just a glancing blow. Seems to quite connect.
Again. I mean, he's had 2 shots there. BrejK's been unfortunately unable to land a single one.
I mean, it's easier said than done to hit some of those in a moving target, but Sorlag is quite a big body champion. The larger hitboxes in the game, so easier to hit in those situations. So BrejK really needs to make that damage count when he can.
We touched on this earlier, how Garpy's more than happy to play that timeout game. He's happy to be defensive and
At
use
this
the
point,
clock.
though, it doesn't look like Garpy's playing for that. It looks like it's BrejK that's actively avoiding him. BrejK seems to want to really stack himself up and get himself ready to fight first. Actually, looks like Garpy is kind of seeking him out here and just focusing on not letting BrejK pick up these important health and armor pickups, because if he can take them away from BrejK, when he's already naturally got so much more health and armor than Nyx is going to have, it's going to be so much harder for him to actually be able to sustain in these fights, because he's just not going to have the same amount of health and armor. Oh. Especially if he can force the Ghost Walk out here. He's got the LG, Acid connects. No, it doesn't at all. Looked for sure like some of those were going to hit. He's got the damage over time, but the armor, oh, 1 tick away maybe. But still, having all that armor isn't going to help if he's only got 10 health. If Garpy can find him now, he might be able to take him down quickly, but BrejK very quickly being able to bring himself back up. That
full health was a crucial rocket. Like, that did so much damage, and it's forced Garpy, so he's now going to have to be super careful of how he approaches here. It's crazy how one well-placed rocket can just turn the tide of momentum. Even if it doesn't score a frag, it's put you in a situation where now you're the one that's bullying the map. Now you're the one that can take risks.
BrejK might... Oh, was able to pick up the heavy armor in the process. I thought for sure BrejK might have bit off a little bit more than he could chew there.
Where does Garpy spawn? You know, is he in a situation
Nowhere
to
near
do
it
anything about it? I mean, he's going to spawn near LG, but I don't feel like that's going to be enough right here. He's fresh off the heavy. And he's got a couple of good rockets, but he's taking too much damage. And Garpy, all he had was an LG, but it was all he needed to win that fight.
Well played all around though, Garpy. Still able to salvage it. Going to bring himself up 2-1 rounds so far. I mean, this is a great start for him at the very least, especially after that first round. Like BrejK was sort of starting to bring it back somewhat, round 2 onwards, but looks like Garpy playing a little bit better in that sort of clutch situation.
This has been quite a common start for Garpy. He's pretty much gone for that rail every single time he's spawned. If he's nearby, he's going to go for it. Kind of headed him off a little bit on previous rounds, but this time can't let him get away with it. BrejK opting to go for a slightly different route and using the rockets he'd collected to just guarantee that one.
And already half of that acid coming back. Garpy already down to champion, less than 30 seconds in. I mean, the start of these rounds have always been quite consistently fast.
But it's most of the time it's been in Garpy's favor, so I'd be interested to see how he actually sort of recovers from being one champion down so early. And now it's going to be his Anarchy versus BrejK Sorlag.
We're basically trading round for round so far, so we could see BrejK take this one and go down to round 5 on just the first map. I wasn't really sure what to expect here. I mean, this is 2 players. You know, Garpy, hang on a minute. One of those connecting. That's going to do a lot of damage. Is BrejK going to follow this up? He's gone down. The injection's still available, though.
I don't really feel like that 1 tick, though, is going to be sufficient data to tell him where he is. I think he's kind of had a hunch he was going to be down there.
But right? Like, you give him a few seconds, he could be anywhere.
For sure. I mean, like, if you go down underneath there, you could have gone towards the jump pad, you could have gone towards LG, you could have gone left towards armor. I mean, even then, there's 3 ways you could have gone.
Especially on Blood Covenant too. Oh, Garpy jumped down.
Oh.
BrejK looks a little bit not too eager to chase these frags.
Well, he tried to chase there, but didn't quite get the speed boost on the rocket jump.
Perhaps.
Oh, wow!
That was a huge amount of damage. The acid is fired, but Garpy nowhere near. Still getting a lot of this damage out, though. Garpy quite low. Heavy armor, but still low on health. Can't afford taking any damage until he tops himself back up again.
Who's going to get to Mega first? Looks like it's going to be Garpy. Gets it at the last minute! I mean, that one sequence running towards that Mega, and the fact he was able to take it mid-fight, that was all he wanted. Really well played there.
BrejK going into Anarchy himself, so he's going to try and take that mirror match.
Which one of those instances where they both clearly had the same idea. It's just Anarchy and Garpy was just able to get there first. The second he got the Mega, there really wasn't a huge amount BrejK could do to, I guess, out-sustain the health that he'd just got access to.
Well, Garpy is tanked out, and he's going for the frag immediately. There's the injection pop. Is he going to chase it too much?
Oh, no!
BrejK looks like he juked back into the rocket. I just don't think he expected it to be there.
And doing that at the exact same time Garpy takes the Mega, I mean, that's just a win-win.
This might be all she wrote, unless BrejK can make something happen here. I mean, it's Nyx and Anarchy versus just a Nyx, but it's an Anarchy that has stacked health, and the armor just moments away from being collected, just like that, and a tanked out Anarchy. Yes, he's over there. Oh, sort of a glancing shot there, but enough to know that BrejK was at least in the area. Oh, Garpy just trying to get out of there.
I do like the way that BrejK is, he's still trying to stay on top of things. Like, he's not taking damage and simply allowing Garpy to sort of run rings around exactly where he wants to go on the map. Like, he's still sort of keeping a close eye out and trying to take those rails and take those rockets where he knows he can risk them, but the issue he's having is his accuracy on those rails has just not been sufficient. Like, his positioning has been there. You know, like, he's had eyesight on Garpy. He's had the opportunity to do the massive damage to keep Garpy from just running around the map and going to where he wants to go, but he gets a good reappear on the Mega. Now surprise him with some damage.
He got the injection to not die, but he is actually still quite low on armor, but full on health. That's the important thing. Oh, but there we go. That quick shot. Oh, that was important for BrejK to get that, just to try and chunk down some of that life off of Garpy. Still, though, heavy armor collected. BrejK did that amazing shot, but ultimately won't mean too much now that Garpy was able to get away. Oh, what a beautiful shot from Garpy. Wow.
That was just a good round. I actually like the fact that at that last minute when they were both in the Mega, they actually both hung around to try and take that final rail, because they were both one shot away from death. It was almost like, you know, like a sort of like a draw, you know, like whoever's going to be quicker on the mark is going to win that fight.
Like a Western, like an old standoff.
Well, I mean, like,
only just with a big rail gun instead of, like, you know,
a little bit more of an up-to-date version, but it's the matter of the fact that they were both one hit away from the rail being dead, and neither of them tried to sort of run at that time. They tried to get it. But immediately wasting no time, the next map has been voted as Corrupted Keep. So once more, we're no doubt going to see a completely different change in playstyles. But I feel like, especially earlier on, BrejK was... You can understand the reasoning behind some of his decisions, where he would either use an ability or go in or be aggressive at a certain point, but it would just it would go south for him, and there was almost like no backup plan. I feel like BrejK would go into certain fights on that map without a plan B prepared, and because of that, Garpy would just just close in and take what was his, essentially. So going into Corrupted Keep, I would like to see BrejK be a little bit more, I don't want to use the word aware as such, but I'd like to see him be a little bit more ready for if something doesn't go right, he needs to make sure he's got a way out if it doesn't go his way.
Well, aside from that, I think that this is a good map choice for a couple of reasons. Now, obvious one, like, I know we talk about this every time.
It can't be avoided. It just can't be avoided.
Every time Corrupted Keep is picked, the big one is no rail. But let's think about that for a second. You said, right, BrejK hasn't really been hitting the rails in the situation he needs to. All of a sudden in Corrupted Keep, there is no rail. So it doesn't really matter if you're not hitting rails, because you don't even need to use it on that map anymore. But Garpy, you know, you said before, he's willing to go for that sort of defensive, playing for the clock, playing for the timeout style. He didn't need to do that there, but we know he's definitely willing to do that. And this is also something that you can't really do on Corrupted Keep. However, that being said, Garpy has been looking very aggressive today. So I don't think he's going to mind too much having to play on this map anyway. But back into Champion Step, we know what really to expect at this point. It will be a bit of a surprise to see them go to anything that isn't this tried and true 3 at this point anyway. So Sorlag, Nyx, Anarchy, it's what you expected to see, and it's what we're going to get for at least another map.
Well, what you're going to be seeing across these different weeks is just changing playstyles and players just adapting to how the game's being played or how their opponents are tackling the competition. I mean, Garpy, he's not just an old school Quake UK player. He's like an old school
arena shooter.
FPS, arena FPS. Like, this guy goes as way back as it goes when it comes to just FPS. So those games and those tournaments that you've spent, like, you know, well over a decade competing in, they have different playstyles. And as a game as new as Quake Champions will progress, new things will come along with it, and those players need to adapt how the game is being played. And Garpy is doing that week after week.
But that's what I think is interesting, right? Early on in the game's life, it was very much different players would favor different champions, different lineups. They'd pick specific lineups for certain maps, and that would be like they'd stick to that religiously. But now we've sort of settled to a point that almost every player is playing the same 3 competitively. It's less about the champions and more about the little minor details about how they play those champions. Because even though they're all playing the same lineup, they aren't playing them in the exact same way. There is a different game plan, there is a different ability, you know, behind the wheel of who's playing. And that's what we'll begin to see the longer that these players decide to play the same lineup as each other. Starting things off already, we see that Garpy has opted to start with that Saw lag, and once again, BrejK has gone back to starting with Anarchy.
Now, the last time BrejK started with Anarchy, it didn't go so well, but a huge part of that just came to, I think it just came down to just how the spawns were. You know, Garpy spawned on Rocket, he spawned right next to BrejK, he took the fight when he knew it was guaranteed, and in this case, didn't go so well.
That was really well played by BrejK, though. I mean, he was quite low there, but Garpy immediately spawning, getting the injection out of BrejK. Still, though, very low himself. Injects himself to try and survive it. He is going to get that frag. Now, that was a really well-executed frag, I think, from Garpy. He actually didn't have any weapons. He just respawned with just the basic submachine gun and was able to use that alone to force the injection out. BrejK, but hang on a minute, BrejK getting point blank and melting Garpy where he stands.
And once more, 1 minute in, 3 frags down. That is grab the keep, ladies and gentlemen.
That is the nature of this map.
Oh, almost went flying into that rocket. I did see 100 damage. BrejK's got the mega, but he was a lot of danger
is 100. Doesn't matter who you are. That isn't going to tickle.
Oh, that one just flew past.
Imagine if that one just connected. Point blank.
Oh, another one! I mean, how about that one? And he's going to chase it down with the LG. He's got to be a little bit careful. If Garpy pushes too heavy, he kind of runs the risk of walking into a retreating rocket and taking 100 damage, but I love that patience. I think he'll take the ticking damage all day, just guarantee heavy, guarantee a little bit of health that is currently around. Gets a good spawn, too. BrejK, he's only got a rocket launcher right now.
I mean, only a rocket launcher when all you have to take out is a Nyx. That can be all you need. BrejK, the aggressive Ghost Walk use, but he's in the air. Is he going to catch the follow-up? Not too sure, no. Something to get away. I mean, BrejK only really has the rocket at this point, and we know that Garpy has a lot more. And by 10 health, Garpy's able to survive that fight, and that is the danger when you put yourself in. When you start a fight with just one.
You can see right there, right? You know, BrejK where he says, what was your hit points now? I'm pretty sure he was convinced, like, he must have almost been dead there. And it just came down to...
He was very nearly.
But it just came down to what it always sort of seems to mean, where if you just get one rocket that is just a hair's length off and it's the difference between 10 damage, that's all you need, but he gets the acid spit. Wait a minute. He does
So
get the health.
Forced to inject there just to not die. Forced his ability out, but BrejK still gonna have a lot of health.
Oh, dear.
Oh, didn't expect Garpy
Oh,
to be
dear.
Oh, he's gonna be like 1 bullet away. There's gonna be some health pickups in there, though, but have they respawned yet? I don't think so. We did see Garpy just pick them up.
I think that's what's going to allow Garpy to just so freely collect that LG, because in that fight they'd collected so much health that there wasn't going to be anywhere near that area of the map.
But that was smart from Garpy. He saw the direction BrejK ran after being so low, and Garpy was like, there's not going to be health there. I picked it up. So he knew the next pickup BrejK was likely to go to was towards the green room where heavy armor spawns, because there is some health over there. He just takes that map awareness. There's the acid coming through. He didn't quite connect, but BrejK is going to use that rocket power.
Oh,
Take
4
health.
Oh, another one of those classic fights where one tick of the LG was the difference between him surviving and dying right there.
Hindsight's a magical thing, but it sucks when that's the realization.
Oh dear.
Oh, and health goes towards BrejK, but the lightning gun quickly undoing all that damage. BrejK again with less than 10 health surviving, but this time will not get away with it as Garpy takes him out immediately.
I did love the weapon switch. I respect the weapon switch there to the rocket where he was not going to win the LG trade. He didn't have the health. However, if he was going to turn the tide, it was once again going to be from a rocket. But I just couldn't quite get it that time.
We can see BrejK really favoring this heavy armor. You can see BrejK really wants to make sure he has that additional armor, but he just consistently hasn't been able to get it yet. I think Garpy has been beating him to the punch. BrejK is getting there a little bit too early, hanging around for a couple of seconds too long, and Garpy is consistently there to punish him for it.
But BrejK has to make a comeback right here, down to his Nyx. Oh, he took a huge chunk of damage.
That's another direct. Garpy's been getting a lot of directs this map alone so far. Just have to be careful.
And this is a lot to put up with, because if he wins this round, it's going to be match point for Garpy already. I mean, that last round was lightning fast. It's quite a change from what we have seen previously, but that's going to be the nature of these map changes. It does force a difference in playstyle.
Or the Mega Health is still to get picked up. Oh, thought for sure Garpy wasn't going to be able to get away safely, but manages to defy the odds anyway. Heavy armor still not going to be up for a considerable amount of time. But still, this is looking good for Garpy. Passing the halfway point of the round, so 2 minutes 30. Garpy still has the lead. In all honesty, I can't really imagine we'll go down to a timeout, but if we do, by some miracle, we'll be going towards Garpy right now unless BrejK can make something happen.
I've just said it in previous maps, Garpy is one of those players that's totally happy using the clock as one of his extra weapons.
Looks like BrejK popped his Ghost Walk as soon as he picked up the Mega Health, not to eat any unnecessary rocket damage, but Garpy's going to know that the Ghost Walk isn't up. He can fight him now. He knows the Ghost Walk isn't there to save him. He's going to understand that with the amount of damage he's done with the LG. The Mega Health is probably by now. Oh, Garpy, by the skin of his teeth, is able to survive that 1v1 again. These are very brutal 1v1s. Both players are narrowly surviving them.
But I mean, he saved his injection as well. That's a huge, crucial part in that fight, was that he actually opted to run away and use that room with the 2 healths instead. So if he needed it, he did have that sort of backup plan.
Oh,
being
wow.
really aggressive with the super now. And just look at how much damage BrejK just took there, even with the heavy.
You'll still would get both heavy armor and Mega Health though, so
super good.
A good trade for BrejK in the long run. But we have to remember this is now match point for Garpy. But he only has a shotgun and a nail gun, does not have the weapons to do the job. BrejK will punish him for it.
That's best case scenario. I mean, take minimal damage.
I mean, he got Mega Health, he got heavy armor, he got rocket, and he got LG. And unfortunately, all Garpy could get was a nail gun and a super shotgun, and that just does not compare.
Caught him in the middle of the air. Massive damage coming out as well. Garpy is in a lot of trouble, even after the injection. He's now stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's quite difficult to escape this kind of scenario, especially when you've got that machine gun or that weapon from distance, just keeping them at arm's reach. Garpy cannot get going, and he's lost his second champion.
Well, that's the danger of using that teleporter when you don't really have a lot of weapons, health, or armor.
It kind of goes back to
watching. There's nowhere for you to go, really.
Yeah, it goes back to that backup plan, right? I mean, there is no way out from that situation, unless you can get a good jump through the window perhaps, or some form of mobility or some ability. If you haven't got any of that, then well, there's not much you can do.
So Garpy now left down to just the lone nicks, but we have seen this comeback happen before, so I'm not going to say it's impossible. It will just be difficult. BrejK running out of armor, running out of health. Acid Spit forced, 1 health left to go. Garpy needs to hit anything, even with that armor, anything will kill. He hasn't found him. No, he's not chasing it. Garpy being careful instead, but still, BrejK's still low. Oh, he hits the wall instead. Can Garpy still get this? Yes, actually not too surprising to see him able to clean up that kill. Garpy had a couple of opportunities.
Oh, there's the spawn manipulation.
Hang on a minute.
Clean. And he actually gets it again, forces the Ghost Walk from BrejK.
And that's just how quickly a match can turn around. Garpy was down 3 champions to 1. He managed to get that 1 frag on the Sorlag, and then 1 good direct rocket on that spawn manipulation. And there's that knowledge, right? Garpy knowing that's an option, and BrejK being able to get out. I mean, did BrejK respawn and use Ghost Walk immediately to not have that?
He would have had to, because if he just got taken out from that exact scenario, he would have had to use it just to not get killed for free. Garpy with the turnaround, and he's been able to just make a very quick comeback using just good spawn manipulation.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's taking that awareness, right? And using stuff like that is... I mean, it got him the comeback, right? He was severely down there, but you have a lineup of nothing but squishy champions. You're not going to spawn with armor. A direct rocket will kill you on spawn, and Garpy, knowing that's the possibility, swaps to the rocket launcher, shoots immediately, gets a direct, and that is a 1-shot.
And actually notice in